Hello there again, everybody. Boyd here with you, and welcome back to the channel. I'm out here today working on the refit again. This is part 15. I've got some interesting things going on the bench here for you today. You can see that I've been continuing to work on the Aztec decals, or not decals, the Aztec masking of this saucer, and I'm just about all the way around the horn. We made it around the horn, boys. I'm closing in on the impulse crystal area there, and you can see that when you get to that spot there, you've got only half panels that you've got to work with, so I've got to trim down those masks in half and get those to fit nice and snug around that before we spray that. There are a couple of blank panels on it here on there that you'll notice, and that's where I'm going to be spraying in the gold color. I've been doing that in little spots here and there, just kind of randomly, and then I've got to do this center section here, and we'll be finished up with the primary colors of the gold and the blue. Then we've got to come back and add what they call the tertiary colors, which are a little bit of pearlescent red and pearlescent light green. And those are basically just little rectangles and things that you go and you add here and there to break up the rest of the colors a little bit. And you just kind of put those in at random. I'm going to do that anyway. There may be specific spots where they were, or whatever, for the rivet counters out there, but I'm not worried about it. I'm just going to put them in there where I feel like it. And just kind of make them, you know, break up that color like they're supposed to a little bit, and it'll give pretty much the same effect. And then we got to do the whole thing all over again on the bottom of the saucer. Yeah, won't that be fun? But yeah, it is. It actually isn't that bad, guys. Once you start getting used to how these Aztec masks go on and getting a little method worked out for it, it starts going along pretty fast. I haven't gotten near the amount of time in this as I had the first go around, so things are working out pretty good. And I'll show you a little bit about how I'm doing that now. I'm putting these on since I've kind of readjusted in this segment. I'll give you a little heads up on that. Here you see the secondary hull that I've got ready to go. I've got it in primer here basically, and all the main work is done. I've just got a little area here at the back that I just put some of this 3M spot putty on. Again, using it here because this is not a flexible joint. If this were a flexible area like right here at the pylons or whatever, I definitely would not use this stuff. It's too soft. It'll crack. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to be using some of the stronger squadron putty for that when we get to that. So I'll sand this down and get this all cleaned up, and then we're going to mask off these little areas right here since those are already done and installed. And then we're going to paint this, and it'll be the final coat of paint on that. And then it'll be ready for assembly. I got a couple of questions, more questions on the channel from users about the seams and everything. And when we start going on this here in a little bit, I'll mention who the people that phoned in the questions, and we'll go ahead and answer them for you and show you basically in real time what we do to deal with that. So, all right, and then before we wrap up here, I'm going to do a nice little demo, set up the photon firing board from Tenacontrols, and you guys can see and hear that actually work, because it does have sound effects with it as well. So that'll be pretty fun. So, all right, guys, let me get things set up here. Get in the groove, get in the saddle, and let's start rocking on this Enterprise again. I'll get the camera set on a tripod, and I'm going to come back and show you a couple of little panels going on here and how I'm doing it. And then we'll go on to the secondary hull and start getting some things done on that. So we'll be right back. See you then. Welcome back, everyone. Well, as promised, I thought I'd give you a quick update on the saucer top here once I got finished spraying it. And I'm just going to kind of float around it here and show you that you can really see those colors jumping on it when the light hits them a certain way. You see the blues and the golds and the different colors popping out on that, and it's subtle when the light's not hitting them, and that's what I really wanted to achieve. I didn't want the panels to be overly dark, and I'm really happy with how that worked out. Let me see if I can get the light on it just right here. I've got the bridge sitting on there, and you notice I put the registration numbers on. I just had to do that. I wanted to see what it looked like so bad, and I just went ahead and put them on. And I don't have any really serious painting to do around that area anymore, so I can get away with it. All I'll be doing was painting the edges here on the bottom with my airbrush, doing a touch-up when I put the lower saucer on and fill that little seam there. And we've got some small detail painting on the RCS thruster banks, on the phaser banks, and there's some little square panels here and there. And then I've got to go and I've got to put in some little, you can see I've started to do some of these tertiary colors here, they're called, on the edges of the around the BC deck there. I've got some red and some aqua green going on there, and I'll be doing that on the rest of this, just in various locations, kind of at random. But I don't want to overdo that. I'm not going to go crazy on that. They're just going to be there to break up the other colors a little bit. And once we do that and put all the other little decal markings on this, it's really going to start to look really nice. And so that came out really good. And I'm learning as I go on spraying this pearlescent paint too, that you just don't need to put it on there very thick. You just put it on and it shows up even though you don't think you're getting very much of it on there. And that's kind of similar to what Paul Olson said in his book when he talks about when he was painting the original studio model. He wasn't sure sometimes if he was getting paint on it or not because of that transparent properties of the stuff. So, but anyway, I'm really happy with that. What I'm going to do next, guys, is I'm going to come back and set up the Tenacontrols Photon Launcher board so you guys can get a quick demo of how that works. That's another nice system we're going to put into this model. And from there, we're going to go back and start working on the secondary hull. My filler should be pretty well dried on that now, and that seam on the fantail, and I'll get that sanded down and we'll scuff the rest of it down with some 600 and make sure it's all clean and tidy. And then we're going to paint that too. And like I said, my goal by the end of this weekend is to have the secondary hull put together. I've got to make sure that when I put the pylons on and close it up, that all the wiring that's needed for the nacelles is in there, because once that's done, I won't be able to fit. It'll be very hard to fish it back through if I forget something. So there's a couple different systems. I got to have power for the flux chiller grills. I've got to have power for the spotlights at the front. I've got to have power for the RCS thrusters, and I've got to have power for the little beacon that flashes at the rear. So some of it we can use a common ground and all that. So there won't be a whole lot of wiring in there, but we just want to make sure we get it all right. So I'll be back here in a minute and we'll show you the photon board. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, guys, I'm back and I've got my Tenacontrols Photon board wired up, and boy, I really like this thing. This is just cool. And Tenacontrols, like I said, I just love their stuff. This is like a kid in a candy store for me. I love this electronic gadgets. And here's the board itself. You can see it's really small. There's a 9-volt battery next to it here. And so their stuff is really nice because you can mount it almost anywhere in the model, being that it's so small. It's very easy to wire up. You get the board, the battery clip there, which I won't be using. Of course, I'll be hooking this up to 9-volt power. You get the little momentary switch, which I'm going to be replacing that with one that you guys are familiar with that I use, those little square ones from Radio Shack. Here are the bulbs. Now these bulbs I replaced. I use these bulbs from Radio Shack here. These are actually rectangular high brightness red bulbs. The bulbs that are included with the kit are just 3mm round red LEDs, and these are perfect. They're the exact size and shape, and they'll fit perfectly in the port there at the front of the photon launcher. And then you get this included speaker too, so because this does have sound effects. Over here you see you have the just like before, I showed you the instruction sheet, basic instructions here talking about the bulb and how to wire it. On the second page here you've got a detailed diagram of the board itself and how to hook it up. You can see that there's only a few connections there. You got your bulbs hooking up here, your power coming in, your momentary switch, and the 2 wires that go to the speaker. And the third page is just their warranty information. And again, I can't say enough. You get a 5-year warranty with all of their electronics, and you just can't beat that. That's a proven mark of quality there. They're willing to stand behind their stuff. So without further ado, let's give this a shot here. Let me turn the overhead light off. And again, just one push of the switch. Now how cool is that? I mean, that is just awesome. I got to do this again. I can't stop doing it. That is just totally sweet. Now I recommend that when you mount your speaker, now you can see I've got it sitting in this little cardboard box here that it came in. When you mount the speaker somewhere, put some kind of little enclosure behind it. Like, you could actually probably use this box or just something, you know, because what it does is it gives it more resonance and more sound. If you just have the speaker sitting out in the open by itself, it doesn't have much of a sound to it. So that's just something to think about. Over here again, I wanted to show you the deflector again. I've been working on this a little bit more, fine-tuning it. Again, here's the board for that, and the battery hookup, and it has the same momentary switch here. But I'm going to turn this on again for you. What I wound up doing is I actually sanded down the LED on the inside. I was trying to get the light a little bit more diffused and a little bit more focused on it. And so I wound up, I kept doing things with the lens itself, and it dawned on me finally to start working on the LED. And I did some sanding on that. Let me turn it on again for you here. And there you can see that we've got the really nice focused light there in the middle, and it's a little dim looking with the full lights on here in the shop, the overhead fluorescent light, but boy, isn't that nice. And you can see I've added that little photo etch part there at the center, that detail ring that goes in there. And that is really, really nice. And one more time here, to go to the blue. And again, my camera is washing out the blue a little bit, but you can really see how beautiful that is. Perfectly focused. And again, I'm kind of picky about the deflector dish on these models. These should look like they're glowing from within and not projecting any kind of light that blinds you in the front. So when you look at the front of the ship, you should be able to see the deflector and all the detail behind it. If the deflector is blinding you and you can't see any of the other details behind the ship, then it's too bright. But anyway, out she goes. And right when it's just about to go out is what you can see. Let me try this again. And here's the amber. And right about there is what it looks like before it gets totally bright, is what it looks like in person. So if you can kind of picture that. So yeah, that's really, really cool. And I just couldn't be happier with all of this setup from Tenacontrols. I've got one more item that I'll be doing a demo on, and that's the 1000B flasher board. You guys are familiar with it. I used it in some of my other builds, but I'll be using that again for the navigation and strobe lights. And we'll be hooking that up. So I'll give you another shot of this so you can maybe see what those are if you decide you want to use these. But I just thought they'd be nice because they're a little bit brighter than the bulbs that it comes with. These are high intensity, and being rectangular like that, they fit perfectly in that bulkhead there at the front. So I'll just drill those holes out on the part and put those right in place, and we should be good to go. I gotta hit this for you one more time. That is totally cool. Okay guys, well here you can see we've got the secondary hull. I'm going to start sanding this down now, getting it ready to go, and I'll come back. I've actually added a little bit more lighting in there. You can see I put a little small SMD here in for the bottom light, which is this area right here. One thing to talk about, on the motion picture version of the ship, this was constant on, it did not blink. And also the one at the top here, just in front of the fantail, was on and did not blink. They changed that to a blinking rate, I think starting in Star Trek 3. So mine won't be flashing, and people will say, well, that's supposed to flash. Well, if you do your research on that, you'll find that out. And then I've got another SMD you can see that's pointing at the fantail, and that's going to give me my Raytheon lighting right here at the back. I like using those SMDs because they're small enough and flat enough where I can get those in there, and the shuttle bay the floor will clear that easily when I slide that into place. So we're good to go on that. I've got these holes here have been re-drilled. If you look at the model from the factory, they're too small and they're pointing in the wrong direction. And what these are for is we're going to be placing some 5mm LEDs in there and from the back side that will shine up and give that flood lamp effect on the outer edge of the nacelle pylons. And then there's two more that go on the top dorsal area that shine on the inside of the pylons. So that's pretty much it as far as what I've got to wire inside the secondary hull. We've got one more down here that's got to be wired in. That's this one does actually blink. This is a strobe light that blinks at the same rate as the rest of the strobe lights on the model. So we'll get that one mounted in, and then after that's done, we're pretty much ready to start putting in our shuttle bay and our arboretum and get this sealed up. So let me get this sanded down, and we're going to put a nice coat of paint on it and see how it all looks, and then we're going to be ready to start putting it together. So I'll be back with that in just a little bit. Well, alright everybody, I made it out of the spray booth, and you can see I've got the secondary hull painted, and our arboretum window down there looks good. All of our seams look really good. We've got the fantail put on there. It's all been painted and ready to go. I masked off the internal lights in there so I wouldn't paint over them. So now what I've got to do is I've got to come in and put my 5mm bulbs from the inside in place and glue them. I didn't want to do that ahead of time because I didn't want to paint over them. But I'll have to aim those so that they're going to be shining up on these pylons. And I'll do a little bit of testing on that and get them aimed just right, and then I'll lock them down. And then I've got to go in with some acetone and wipe off my little lenses in here that got a little bit of overspray on them on my LED strip tape, and get that cleaned up so it lights up nice and bright. And we're getting pretty close. Then I've also got to add the little bulb there at the very bottom on the belly for the flashing strobe and get that wired in. So that's coming along really good. Now here on the pylons, you can see that I've started to work on those. You had to remove some material here at the bottom to get your wiring to pass through, so I did that on both sides with my little Dremel tool. And on the top, you're okay here because this is open. You got plenty of room to bring the wires out. And what I'm going to be doing is being able to control these circuits separately, and that's why I've got a separate wire for each one. You can see I've labeled them all so I don't get them screwed up when I go to put this together. But I've got my chiller grill power here. I've got the power for the little thruster bank that's at the very rear of the nacelle. I've got the flashing beacon, and I've got the two little floodlights that are at the front, and that's the lighting that I'll have and the effects that I'll have on the nacelle. Now, I decided that I'm going to order another Tenacontrols deflector dish board controller because I've decided I'm going to add a nice effect on this. I'm going to wire it up so that when I hit the button the first time, like when the amber dish comes on, the amber dish will light up, and these little thrusters are going to power up real nice and slow, just like that. They'll match it, and also the impulse engines will come on, and so then we're going to be able to switch that, and when we hit it again and switch to the blue, these will go out, the impulse engines will go out, and the warp engines will light up. We'll have the chiller grills come in and fade in nice and slow like that and get bright. So that's going to be really, really cool. And then, of course, the beacon, that runs all the time, and the floodlights here run all the time, so I'll just have constant power going to those. The beacon ties actually into the Tenacontrols navigation board, so the flood lamp will just have its own power, and that'll be on all the time. And so I've got them labeled the same here on the bottom. So basically I've got the wires routed through here, and I've got them glued down the way I showed you before, using a little bit of CA and that zip kicker to get them locked down right away. And so we're ready to put the two halves of this pylon together now and glue it shut. And once we get that done on both of these, I'm going to start working on this one next. We're going to be able to start putting them on, and then we can put our dorsal piece up on the top, and pretty much all of our wiring will be done, and I'll have it all coming out the front here so that when I attach the final deflector housing assembly with the mounting rod hole in it, all that wiring will come out through the bottom of that. We'll have it all located at the front so we can fish it right through there. So that's working out really good. Okay guys, I'll be back here in a little bit showing you a little bit more progress. What I'm going to be working on is I'm going to be putting in the LEDs here, and I'm going to be doing some test fitting on the pylons. I have to actually lay them on here to make sure that that light's going to aim at those correctly. And the same thing on the dorsal area. There's two more that go in there that aim on the back side. So I've got to get all those wired up and aimed and everything and locked down. So I'll be working on that, and I'll be back in just a little bit. Okay everybody, I'm back, and I've done some more work on the secondary hull here. I didn't get quite as far as I wanted to today. I was hoping to get it all sealed up, but I've got to do a couple more little things here and there. But what I've done is I've added these little lights. It took a little while of tinkering with this. These little lights here that go on to light up your pylons, and you've got to get them in there at just the right angle. The hole that the kit's drilled with is at the wrong angle, so you got to re-drill that. And let me turn off the light here real quick. I've got one of the pylons here, and to show you what the effect that we're trying to get on that, we just want to lay this up on here like that. And you can see what that does is it casts a light up onto the side of that. And it's a little bit tricky to get that angle just right in there, but once you get it, it lights up real nice. You can see that's going to light up. Once we have all that aztecing and the detail on the side there, it's going to light that up real nice. And then we've got our light here on the bottom by the stern. The one here underneath the front, I don't have that one in yet. And here at the back, you can see I have the fantail lighting, and I've got to airbrush this just a little bit more and bring it down in size just a little bit. But you can see everything's working out really good with that, and so it's coming along pretty good. I've just got to get a couple more little details. I've got the one that goes down here on the bottom. I've got to put in between the phaser banks. It actually flashes. I've got to add that circuit. And here inside the shuttle bay, there are two little holes here where the turbo lifts go. I got to make slightly larger so that light will leak up in there and light those. And once we put the roof of the shuttle bay on, I've got to add an LED here for the top to light that, and also light these little red guys here at the back of the shuttle bay entrance. Now what I'm going to do, you can see that when you put your shuttle bay in there that the walls partially block those little blue areas right there. So I'm going to shave those down and bring them back just a little bit, because you can't see you won't be able to see that from the side anyway. So that'll allow a little bit of light to get in there and fix that problem. And so things are coming along pretty good. Like I said, I'm really happy. You can see here what I've done now is that the arboretum is sitting in there the right way, and I've got the lens on the top of it, so you can see basically what kind of lighting you're going to get in that now. And that just looks great. Like I said, I'm really happy with that. Just the right amount of light in there. And so that's going to be really visible too when we put that really clear glass in. So that's going to be it for this update, people. Hope you guys are enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun on this model. And like I said, I was hoping to get a little bit farther and get my pylons, but the next update I'll show the dorsal area installed with the pylons in place. We already did all of our wiring on this that we covered earlier, and they're drying right now, sealed up. Then I can go ahead and paint those and get everything ready to go. Touch this up here a little bit, and I've got a little gap here I've got to fill, but really happy with how everything's going. So once I get all that locked down, I can put it all the sub-assemblies in and bring my power out the bottom like I was talking about, and we can then move on to the getting everything installed in the saucer, all the lighting in that. I've got the window lighting done, but I've got to add all the lighting for the thrusters and the blinking strobe on top of the bridge, the impulse engines. So that'll be what we're working on next. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for today. Take care out there and happy modeling. We'll catch up with you in a few days.